My name is Denise DePaula, and I own a hedge fund administration company.
Thank you very much.
I'm Faith Zimmerman, and this is my twin sister Hope, and we're both licensed architects, and we have an architecture practice in New Jersey.
And I'm Janet Wise, and I own a company called The Branding Room, and that's all about personal branding strategies and career planning strategies.
Okay. So I want to hear a little bit about how, so we're going to be talking about some of your specific results that you've created. So I'm going to start again at this side of the table. And I know that you just started implementing some new strategies in your business. Now, you've been doing what you've been doing for how long? How long have you been in business?
Well, I've been, at fund administration and owning it for the last 10 years.
Okay, so you've owned the company for the last 10 years. And then I know you made some changes recently. What's been the time frame that you made some of these new changes that we're actually going to be talking about this success, your results?
Okay, so prior to the 2 years ago, I bought out my partner, and then took complete ownership of the company, and that's when I started to build the foundation to actually bring it to the next level. But it wasn't until December of 2015, just less than 6 months ago, when can I say I met your wife?
You can.
Okay.
You can.
So I attended one of her Positioning Yourself for Profit events, and basically left there signing up for her FEMM Mentorship program, and within 24 hours made $68,000. And that was just the start.
I remember, for some reason, I missed that statistic when we talked on the phone about this a little bit. Within 24 hours.
To brag.
Okay, does anybody else here want to know how the hell that happened? Okay, so I'm just, what did you do in 24 hours?
Okay, so I have a service-based business, and basically I have contracts with my clients that are usually annual contracts, and from the time they sign on until the time they leave, I typically never raise their fees because I'm very uncomfortable about it, and I feel like I would be, insulting them, burdening them, whatever the case may be, so I've just never done it. She basically gave me the confidence to say, you're worth it, and you need to change your beliefs, and you need to change your behaviors, and you need to charge your clients more. And even if you just incrementally increase their fees, it will make a big difference because you have a whole lot of clients. So I really only went to about a dozen of my clients, raised them 5%, or some sort of said, okay, this year I'm going to have to charge you for that. And the timing was perfect because it was December, so I basically wrote them emails. I didn't even pick up the phone and call, which I thought was kind of rude, but I wrote them emails and I said, effective January 1, your new fee is XYZ. That's it. Like, no real explanation, and they all wrote, I couldn't believe, I thought, you have one or two that are like going to give you a hard time, they're going to say no. The replies were, okay, understood, no problem, confirmed. I'm like, why didn't I do this every year for the last 10 years? I would have,
Okay, so I want to hear more of your story about where it's gone from there, because there's a part of her story that just happened recently about some new successes that I don't know about, so we're going to get there. But I want to point out one thing that she just mentioned, and it's about beliefs and behaviors. So we were just talking, and it's Pippin? Did I say it right? Marine? Perrine. Okay, sorry. It started with a P though, right? I got it. Okay, so Perrine, what you just said was around beliefs and behaviors. So it had been years, 10 years in the business, 2 years of running the Fees One thing. It was a shift of beliefs and behaviors. A lot of the trainings in this room on sales and influence have been around what you feel right about or not, or you won't take the action. It's sometimes very simple action to create a result. It's freaking awesome. Come on, just give it, that's another level. Awesome. Okay, let's go down the line. I want to hear a little bit of where you started and what's been your journey, and let's get to one of these successes, because I want to hear a success so everybody knows what's going down.
Okay, we've had our practice for 25 years. We just celebrated our 25-year anniversary on April 1st. And and we worked with Robin as well, and when we actually met her a year and a half ago maybe, and did a one-day strategy session with her, and at that time she said, well, instead of charging $250 for this, why don't you charge $500? We said, okay. So she said, okay. And instead of this, why don't instead of charging $1,000 but applying the $250, we talked about what it was and what its value was, and it's like, well, if you've given them this and given them do you think it has more value than that? Yeah, probably. Well, do you think you could charge them without giving them back the $250? It's like, sure. It's like, well, why don't we just charge them $1,500 and not give them the $500 back? So basically, it went from, they did those two pieces of it, from $1,000 to $2,000, and what happened was everybody who we suggested it to, no one blinked an eye that it had gone up, and our clients were actually, many more of them tell us how valuable it was to them and how great this was when we started charging them more and actually added a little bit more to that package for them.
Come on, that's awesome. Okay, a lot of people, let's talk about sales. Please add, yeah.
So one of the things I wanted to say about that too, see if we're close, was that it wasn't just raising the rates, it was adding something else to it. So we were giving them something more, not just, oh, let's double our fees. Just wanted to make that clear.
Thank you. So this is also, there's a couple things going on. You're going to notice that everybody on this panel already 25 years in their business. It's not like they don't know architecture, but they're having a challenge, and then to shortcut their success, they found a mentor, they gave them a strategy that they applied. Pretty simple stuff, but it's not so simple when you don't know what that next level strategy is. So that's really great. And I'm going to go ahead and share something else. You spent a day with my wife who had some of these strategies. She asked you what you're selling in the process and then helped you repackage what you were offering. So you took the same stuff you were offering, maybe you added a little bit more in different ways. So it's different packaging of the same stuff, and got nothing but yeses and more money and happy clients, it sounds like. So a lot of people think that sales is this yucky thing, and they're incongruent around, and they don't like to do sales, or there's a connotation of that. Would you guys agree in the industry, that in the world, it's like, I don't want to be a salesy salesperson. But sales, I have a friend of mine who is one of the best salespeople I've ever met, and he equates sales with being love, because it's the highest form of service to other humans to try to go ahead and help them by giving them your great stuff, whatever it is. So, okay, let's move down the panel one more, and I want to hear another story. So go ahead.
Yeah, so my story, of course, builds on their story, but is slightly...
Can you move the mic a little closer to your mouth also?
Yes? Better? No?
That's better right there.
Terrific. My story builds on the successes of these ladies, but also testament to how much the process works, particularly through the FEMM program, in that I am a full-time HR executive with a Fortune 100 organization. I also attended in December the same Positioning Yourself for Profits event after hearing Robin speak on a webinar. And because my background is learning and development, what stood out for me in that is exactly when she started to talk about beliefs and behaviors, because I know that nothing can happen without those two pieces. And had a conversation with her, went to the Positioning Profits. I've shared, I was about to invest my money actually in taking another graduate level course because I thought it would legitimize my idea about going into business, and instead invested that amount into the FEMM program, which started in January. I know we're in the middle of May, and I've made all of that money back in that ROI, investing in the program.
Nice. Okay, can we talk a little bit about some of the transformation? Let's be a little bit more specific about some of the successes you had when it comes to sales, and also any of the challenges that you were overcoming at the time, because you had to maybe shift some of your beliefs and behaviors. It sounds like that was key for you. And then specifically, what was it that you did? Isn't this what we want to know? What'd you do? What'd you shift? What'd you change? And what were the results?
Right. So for me, the challenge was having been extremely successful in a corporate environment where I could influence and sell within that context, but not being able to have the confidence or the tools to understand how I would sell outside of that. And given the time frame that I've just shared with you all here, that meant that I put aside all of my beliefs or was able to borrow beliefs, which is something that we talk a lot about in the FEMM program. So borrow those beliefs and with understanding what the process is. So again, my background's learning and development. So if you give me the recipe and you give me the formula and the formula is sound and it works and you follow that, I had the success. Now I understood how to engage in those conversations and what would happen next and what would happen next. And then with that, it's not as though it was all a slam dunk, but you also have the community as well as the brilliance of the formula and of your leader, who's very motivational, and modeling this for you so that you're able to follow that and reap the benefits.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and great job, by the way, and thank you for that, because we're getting insight into how you shifted, which is key. So we heard beliefs and behaviors again, and then you talked about the stages of the process of getting a client and closing a client so that you can make that money. These are the stages of the sale. So for those of you who heard my wife speak about this, you can have, as long as you have clarity around the stages of the sale. And then also in this case, you got coaching and mentoring and some specific, so you knew what to say at the specific stages and what's next. That's basically sales, is if you have clarity and conviction in yourself. And if you don't, you also talked about something about borrowing beliefs. Whose beliefs, what are you talking about when it comes to borrowing beliefs? Whose beliefs you had your beliefs, what does that mean?
It twofold. First and foremost, to the program leader. I mean, to Robin Crane herself, being able to borrow from her, because it's her confidence. It's all of her brilliance in being able to say. Sometimes you really actually have somebody tell you you can do this. And again, I mean, I'm successful outside of this world. She's operating in that world, as well as the success of the panel. So, I mean, just the talent that's also in this community is very, very powerful.
And I think you also said that it was, so she also mentioned community a couple of times, and you're talking about faith and hope, about seeing their results. Yes. Helped give even more proof for you to develop your own belief. And until you have your own belief in yourself, like, yes, I can do it, yes, I'm worth it, yes, it's this, whatever, you can borrow your mentors in this case. And in this environment, because we're all talking, you're all been in the same group with my wife, you're able, don't we all have saboteurs in our lives? Like, I don't care what it is. I mean, I've set a goal to do things for 30 days, 90 days, but sometimes the guy looking at me in the mirror is the one that's one of my biggest challenges, oftentimes. But it ends up being family and friends and patterns I've run my whole life, and or other mentors and shiny objects. And, oh my gosh, that was a great idea about Infusionsoft. I need to do that. And if I start taking all this, there's all the, I can get distracted. But if you follow one strategy, that's like making a chocolate cake. No, I'm going to make ice cream. No, I'm going to make mushroom soup. No, I'm going to do whatever. And then you get this mess. So, okay, some really great things. Can you give us any specifics on numbers of some of the, I want to go ahead and let everybody celebrate a little bit about what some of your numbers are.
Sure. So I'm at 10K.
10K.
Okay, so I gave one talk. That was February 27th, so from March to May.
Okay, now let's talk. That's great on sales. That's an extra $10,000. I think that's pretty awesome. And this is your first foray into your selling yourself and your
Yes.
services separate from in the corporate world.
Correct. And I'm
Which-
still working full-time in a corporate role.
That is huge. That is huge. Now, how did you generate those? Give me some numbers. Did you do some leads? How did you generate the leads, and what were a couple of the steps there when you had some leads and appointments and things instead of just getting to the result? I love end results, so thank you for that. But give me just a little bit of some of the specific behaviors you shifted and results that you created.
The first piece was going out and really being able to give some type of a signature talk or seminar presentation to your target audience, which I did in 2 different formats, and with some debriefing and adjusted for it. And by the time I gave my second presentation, the way it was set up, there were 37 people in the room, and 20 of the women opted in to sign on for me. So, I was joking a little bit before this panel.
Hold on. What are the numbers again? How many signed on?
20. I had 20 meetings and converted more than half of those.
Guys, that is a phenomenal result. And
Yes.
that's a phenomenal result. So it's these little micro steps that you need to go. So it was these little micro steps. So thank you very much. I want to come back. We're going to go back this way on the table. Let me talk to our architects again. Share with the room what you think was a really phenomenal breakthrough for you, or something specific that you have done. I know you've got some new successes as well. So talk about the breakthroughs or the challenges, and then some of the results that you've created.
Okay, I think one of the, as architects, we're confident in our architecture, and we knew we did really good work, but we didn't really know how to run the business very well. And one of our big challenges was the sales piece of it, basically how to close a client, how to get him from the feasibility study to the full project. We didn't really want to just be doing feasibility studies. We wanted to be doing the whole project for them. And so
let me just ask you a question. So it sounds like you were selling the first section, which is the feasibility study, for a small amount of money, okay? And then the challenge was converting those to the higher tier,
package,
the full
right.
package. Okay, gotcha.
Right.
Go ahead.
And so in working with Robin and with the whole group, we ended up scripting all of the pieces of our entire process. We understanding that, okay, you have the design consultation, then the feasibility study, then it moves to the next phase, but scripting everything, scripting every phone call that we're going to do. And until we get more comfortable with it, it's like, okay, I have to make this phone call. This is what happened on the last phone call. This is what happened at the last meeting, and script it, and actually sometimes read the whole script. I'm on the phone. He doesn't know that I'm reading it. I put my ums and uhs in there, and so it sounds like I'm just saying it from the hip.
So that means that these scripted calls are actually scripted for each individual call that you're going to make. It's not just that, okay, for this next phase, this is the call that I do. So it's really tailored for every single call.
Got it. So there's a structure for that stage of the process. And then you said, and you treated each follow-up call uniquely because it's a unique human, and you tailored it to that. But then you had clarity about what position you were in and where you were taking them. And now talk about what result did that help you create?
Oh, so there was a couple. One is our sales funnel. When we first worked with Robin a year and a half ago, we had about 40,000 in our sales funnel, and right now we have over 300,000.
So you had
so those are
$40,000 in
the sales funnel. So potential work clients that we were working with, and like when they moved to the next step, this is how much
So these
we
are
could
people
get
that
in
had paid
contact.
you something, and they're going through the different phases. You had $40,000 worth of business that you were working on and trying to sell to 300,000.
Right.
Okay, 300,000.
And
That's pretty awesome.
and-
Come on. 40K that's 200 and what's the number? $260,000 increase. Okay.
And then the other
I
thing
actually knew
that
that.
we started doing was we set up a goal reward system, and we have 4 different things that we measure that are all different. One is the number of potential clients that contact us that month. One is the amount of billing that we actually get in that month.
How many checks?
One is the number of contracts that people sign that are bigger than just the feasibility study. I forget what the third one was.
How many feasibility studies we do, because that's kind of the first.
So it's measuring kind of all different aspects of the health of the business. And
We look at it every month.
And so this last month, we met, and we have 2 different levels of goals within there, so it's actually 8 possible different things. But last month, we had 3 out of the 4 that we hit a goal in that metrics.
So you can't manage.
So I'm going to get my first massage ever.
Oh, is that your reward?
Yeah.
The reward? Oh my gosh. Okay. So you hit your numbers. So great job. This is awesome. So you can't. I don't want you to. I don't want you. I don't want someone else to be your first. You never forget your first. I'm just kidding. You can't manage what you don't measure, and so a lot of people in sales are winging it. And here's the challenge with a lot of intelligent people, and I think everybody in this room, you're all really successful at whatever you do. You're already awesome, and so then the challenge is you can get by on your awesome. But that doesn't mean that it's a process and a system, and it doesn't mean that there aren't ways to improve it. And if you can be very specific and make it better, it's like you can't just rely on your talent. You've got to work on your skill. And if you have that specific skill, it saves so much time. Let's go back to results. It was less than 6 months results, and the twins have done it. We've been working with Robin for about 18 months now. And so we're talking about a lot of results in a short period of time. There's a lot of buttons and dials in our lives that we get to focus on. And most of us are focused on about 90% of the ones that are not really making a difference. If you can just have somebody show you what are the right places to tweak and change, you can have phenomenal results. Would you guys agree? Yes. Okay. Awesome. Go ahead. We're going to come back to this side of the table. Would you like a massage as well?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I want to hear some of these results that I have not heard about. And you've got some amazing numbers and some successes, and I'm glad you didn't slap me.
Okay. Are you going to get back to them? Because they really need to talk about how they've been published in magazines and they're getting credibility and they've been speaking as experts and like all this is contributing to, like, are we getting to that? Because I don't want you to miss that if you're not coming back.
Well, you did a very good job of summarizing it there. We have a limited time, so I'm not sure we're going to, but thank you for saying that. All that media and phenomenal. And there's not one thing. It's a combination of things that work together. So thank you for sharing that, because we just only have a limited amount of time. But I want to hear about you and your stuff. But thank you for that. That's so nice.
There's so much. There's not even enough time to tell you guys.
I know.
Everything that has come to fruition. So I just want to tell you that before we even went to the Positioning Yourself for Profits event, I had it was supposed to be an introductory call with Robin, just so she knows what the business is and what she's getting into and where she's going to be potentially coaching me. And there's this thing called an audio logo, and I don't know if she spoke about it already, but it's essentially your elevator pitch, and it's who's your ideal client, what are their problems, and how are you solving it for them, more or less, right? So I tell her, it's a hedge fund manager, I provide them administration, and then, it makes them sleep better at night, whatever I said. And she's like, no, that's not what you do. And I'm like, it's not? I'm pretty sure that's what I've been doing all this time. And she's like, no, who is your target audience? Who is your ideal client? She helped me weed out. She's like, you don't want the startups because they never come to fruition. You're wasting a lot of time with them. They're not bringing you the money. You want to focus on the established hedge funds who can bring you money day one. That's your target audience. How do we get to them? What are you doing for them that's different than every other administrator? Everybody's providing administration services. What are you doing that's different? Let's define that now. That's what you do. We don't even know who we're selling to. We don't even know what we're doing. We think we know because we do it every day, but unless you have somebody from the outside looking in and telling you, no, that's not any different than what I know, no, that's not separating you from anyone. She made me clearly define this audio logo. So that was a breakthrough in itself, which is what made me go to the Positioning Yourself for Profits event. Then when we were there, everything just snowballed. But like you said before, I just want to confirm that I always had this fear of being a sales. I'm like, I'm not in sales. I'm not a sales. Salesmen are sleazy and slimy, and you know what I mean? They're lying to people and they're taking advantage of them, and I don't ever want to be that person. So she just made it feel so different that we're just helping people and we're helping them and providing such value, and we should get paid for what we're doing, and it's not wrong to be compensated for you know, what you do. The other big thing that helped is that she spoke about a vision board, and you kind of have to visualize yourself in these places and where you want to go. Like, where do you want to be? Where do you see yourself? So I didn't have time to do arts and crafts and put together this whole vision board for my future, but what I started to do is take these neon green Post-its, and everybody laughs at me. I'm known for the green Post-its, right? And I'm writing on it, okay, this is what I want. I want to close this client at $10,000 a month. I want to do X, Y, and Z, whatever it was. I would make these little Post-its, I stick them on my computer, I stare at them every day, I pray to them, like whatever I'm doing, right? And as this is happening, they're coming true, and I'm taking them down and I'm putting them in my little book, and now I have this whole book of Post-its, and you know, to keep a very long story short, that translates into about $700,000 of revenue from December until today. So like, that would never happen. Like, when I tell you I lost $500,000 of revenue last year for regulatory reasons and things that these people couldn't be in business, and I thought, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Like, we replaced that and then some, like this. And just like the sky's the limit. I can't, it's crazy. It's
So
crazy.
how about, let's just a little bit of palm slapping together for $700,000
Yeah.
of extra new business, and for taking ownership of actually having created that. So the other really great thing about, I think it says a lot about you women, but I think it's also the community that you've created and also your mentor, that you own it. As much as you're giving credit to the process and the system which is there, you also are owning it yourselves because you know you did it.
There's
A lot of people
another
are.
thing. Hold on,
Yes,
before I
please.
forget, because I forget these things and I'm never going to tell you again. The other big thing that came out of this is not just taking on a client to take on a client to just bring in revenue to close a deal. I am now actually implementing the strategy, and I don't even know what it's called, it doesn't even matter, but I am telling people they might not be the right fit for me. Like, if they're not willing to pay my fee and recognize the value in the service that I'm going to provide to them, and they don't share the same values and core beliefs as me, I don't want to be their administrator. Like, I don't want to be nickeled and dimed to death. I don't want to be tortured every day with, you know, endless phone calls. Like, I want to work with real business people who are serious about their business, who want to grow their business, and, you know, I can help them get there by providing the unbelievable administrative service that they're not getting anywhere else. So I've been telling people, you know what, this might not be a right fit. Like, if you're not willing to invest X, Y, Z into your business, then I'm not willing to invest my time, my staff, like everything. And the result is these people go, like, no, I want to work with you. Don't tell me no.
Yeah.
I'll pay more. You know, it's okay. And that's something I would have been like, all right, well, you know, we'll start at 5,000. All right, well, I'll do it for 2,500. All right, I'll do it for 1,500. All right, I'll do it for 1,000. And then before you know it, I'm losing money. Like, it's just not even worth it. But now, not only do I tell people it's not a right fit, but then when they ask me to give them breaks, here's another thing. This might be really helpful for you guys, is I tell them that it's not fair to my other clients who are paying the full boat regardless of their assets. It's immoral to give them a different deal. Like, everyone needs to pay their fair share. And if this client over here who, you know, is getting the same service and paying twice as much, and they found out, like, that's not fair. Everyone needs to be treated fairly and equally, and that's how I want to run my business. And if they don't want to do it, then I don't want to do business with them.
So, okay, come on. That was freaking awesome. So
Walk away.
there are stages of a sale, and there's stages of your business, and there's times it's going to go up and down. If everybody looks at the arrow with the sales summit here, I think it represents what life is sometimes like. Sometimes you're going in the right direction, and then it doesn't work, and then it starts going in the right direction. We've been talking about nothing but up right now, and I know there have been challenges that you guys have gone through. We haven't had time to get into them, but there's always another level. And what I'm recognizing is a couple of patterns here, and I kind of knew this walking in, but there were beliefs and behaviors that needed to be shifted, the beliefs first, and they borrowed some because they had specific plans. They had a strategy, a proven system. And then there was a community of people that all had the same mission and vision, even though they're very different in industry, that supported them so they didn't get distracted by shiny objects. So those are the points that I got here. I'm going to go, we've got, our next speaker is going to come up. It's time, right? Give me just 1 second. He's going to be up here and he's going to rock the house. One more word or two from each of you. You need to be less than 10 seconds. Start at the far end of the table and come this way.
Jump in with both feet if you know you're ready. And the brilliance is being able to be lucky enough to find somebody who's going to show you where to start at the right place, not getting distracted by those other dizzy distractions, but start at the beginning where it matters, and that's with your sales strategy.
I think that's beautiful, ladies.
Okay, what I was going to say is very similar to what Janet just said, is if you do have a coach and they tell you do X, Y, and Z, implement, do it. If you just say, oh yeah, that's a good idea, I really should, nothing's going to happen. If you implement, then you'll get the results. If you just say, that's a good idea, and don't implement, your results will be the same as your results have always been.
It's awesome.
We got nothing.
Just one thing, you had said, you have to believe it and then so you can implement it, the beliefs and behaviors. Sometimes you do it in the opposite order. You don't really believe it, but you just do it anyway. And the behavior changes your belief instead of the other way around.
Thank you for that. You're right. We all have different patterns. Mine is so I shift my beliefs very quickly just because someone tells me something willy-nilly and I just will shift it. But there's a lot of people that it comes a little slower for them internally. And it's one of the fastest things to just do it anyway. So thank you very much for that. Anything else?
No.
Okay. One last round of applause,
I can't be under pressure
please.
like that.